Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Build a Beamer. Last time we spoke to you, we were chasing down or trying to troubleshoot an overheating problem that we were experiencing on our BMW E46 race car. And through the recent videos, you would have seen that we think we have found the problem, which was a horribly deteriorated front timing case cover, which had seen a lot of cavitation damage from the water pump. We have since replaced that with a much better unit and have reassembled the car, and we hope that is going to be the resolution to our overheating problems. So here's just another late week update. We're 2 weeks away from Kyalami, where we will be racing on the 5th of September in the BMW Racing Series in South Africa. We've done a couple updates or upgrades to the car, which I'd just like to show you quickly. So first is the lithium battery upgrade. So we have ditched the old traditional 100 amp hour lead acid battery, and we have a very compact, small little 8 amp hour 12 volt lithium battery here. This is typically designed for small motorcycles as a direct replacement, but we've looked at the specifications, and we're quite happy with the capability of this battery being a suitable replacement for our lead acid battery in this race car. So very small capacity, very small size, and of course huge weight savings and also better weight distribution. Previously the lead acid battery was on the driver's side, so a lot of weight was biased towards the right hand side of the vehicle, and now we at least have a little bit of weight being added to the left hand side and some weight taken out of the right rear side of the car. So this little lithium battery's been connected up. We're also going to make up some adapter cables just for race day in case we have any problems with this battery being unable to perform its duties. Connected to this is a device called a Victron battery monitor, a model called the BMW 700. So this little device over here is called a shunt, and the shunt essentially measures the energy going into and out of the battery. This allows us just to see what kind of voltage and current we're seeing going into and out of the battery, and therefore to evaluate whether we may see any problems with the change in battery chemistry. The issue that we may see is that lithium iron phosphate is a completely different battery chemistry to lead acid, and therefore they want a little bit of a different charging profile in terms of voltage and current, and we may see problems. So we're using this device in combination with its display right over here to see our current and voltage going into the battery. So this is quite useful. It may not be a permanent installation, because once we're happy with the stability of the system, it won't really be necessary. But right now, while we're testing the feasibility of this concept, we'll be using this to monitor how much current goes in and out of the battery and whether we're seeing any deterioration in the health of that battery. So that's our little battery upgrade. In addition to this, we previously only had the front left door gutted and kind of opened up. The right front over here has been gutted and a aluminium sheet placed over it just for aesthetics and keep it nice and neat, with a little door tab to open the door like that. So these doors have recently been done, so that at least we've got some weight out of the front left, the rear left, and the right rear has also been done. Next up on our list is I have done a new firmware update, or not a firmware update, but a change to the tune, essentially just allowing our temperature or our e-thermostat to be activated far earlier and not relying on the oil temperature to get up to some 97 degrees. So we should be able to target lower coolant temperatures all of the time and not reach certain prerequisites with regards to oil temperature and various other parameters. In addition to that, adding some characteristic to the car, I have also added a little what they call a pops and bangs tune. So when we have a trailing fuel cutoff condition, if you come off the throttle, it'll no longer cut the fuel being added to the combustion chamber, and we get a nice little exciting pop and bang effect from the exhaust pipe. Obviously, with the new exhaust pipe that we've got in this race car, we're also expecting to see a couple of flames depending on the intensity and severity of this particular tune. I'll give you a quick demonstration of that right now. So to start up our race car, we essentially need to engage power over here. That's our main isolator. You can see on our little monitor that we see a small amount of current being drawn now that the car is switched on. We've got some of our appliances and using some power. And then first thing we do is we switch to ignition over here. And as we switch on ignition, obviously we're seeing fuel pump switch on and a number of other devices, and we can see the current rise quite a bit more. So we're now seeing about 8.5 amps, a little more than that, coming from this little battery. Now we're going to start the car, and the process, just to ensure that we don't send too much current to our new small capacity lithium batteries, to immediately switch on the lights. So I'm going to start her up. There we've got startup, and I'm going to switch on lights, and now we see just under 30 amps and dropping, going into our battery. Obviously this alternator is able to produce quite a lot of power for a traditional lead acid battery, and therefore it's quite important to ensure we can do everything possible to reduce the amount of current, specifically charging, that this battery sees. This battery is quite capable in that it's able to deliver 440 amps CCA, cold cranking amps, and therefore quite capable in starting the car. But charging really is a parameter that will deteriorate a lithium battery, and that's why you want to do anything you can to ensure that you don't send too much current charging to the battery. During the startup process, we see some 160 amps being used by the starter motor to start this car, so that just gives you an idea of how much current or power is required to start a vehicle. So this car's been started a little bit earlier, and one of the nice tricks that we've seen from one of our friends, just to ensure that we've got accurate temperature data, is the following. You can use the instrument cluster to see your actual temperature in degrees Celsius. So you hold in this button over here, and then you proceed to go to setting number 19 or option number 19. And once you've got there, you wait a little bit, and then you want to select test option number 7, and then you can leave that button alone. Once you've done that, you can now see we've got our coolant temperature at 63 degrees. So I have programmed our tune that our trailing fuel cutoff is some RPM and some target ignition angle above 60 degrees Celsius. And it's just a table that allows you to change based on engine speed and temperature. So 60 degrees Celsius is the value I've chosen. So this car is fairly warm. It's getting there at the moment. Because it's a race car, I've also set up the target coolant temperatures quite low to try and keep the car in the low operating range, and we don't risk any damage to the head of the car. And thus, at the moment, we've got a target coolant temperature of around 80 degrees Celsius. Here we can see our oil temperature gauge, and next to that is our Innovate wideband oxygen sensor, showing us the lambda ratio for the ratio of oxygen to fuel content in our measured in our exhaust pipe. So here you should be able to hear the difference in the trailing fuel cutoff when I read the throttle. You'll see if you hold the throttle, simply going up, it's nice and simple, linear. And as soon as you let off the throttle, it doesn't stop providing fuel to the system, and that's why you get that pop and bang effect. Thanks, that's our update for this week. We'll get back to you with some of the next updates. What we're going to try and do is set up a session at our local dyno, so we can start seeing how much power this vehicle is making with our with our current tune installed. We've done a number of modifications specifically to looking for more ignition angle, for more advance on the ignition angle to try and get some more power out of this naturally aspirated engine, as well as some changes to the Vanos, our intake and our exhaust Vanos set points, in order to try and take advantage of the hardware modifications done to this race car. So stay tuned and we'll keep you updated.